What's up, world? You are in tune to another marvelous talk broadcast with your player partners, your prayer partners, Big G and Dane. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing this week, man?
What's happening,
Hey,
man?
hey,
Mobius
man.
E. Mobius.
Shout out to the Kang gang out there.
Shout out to the Kang gang. Shout out to Mobius C. Mobius. And man, shout out to the writers of Marvel Universe, the MCU. You guys are doing an excellent job. And who's ever picking characters and finding definitely the personnel to put in these character roles. Great job.
Yeah.
But man, before we get into the talk tonight, we do want to remind you that this is spoiler talk. So if you have not seen the recent episode of Loki, the last iteration of Loki, definitely make sure you log out right now and go watch it, and then come back and catch us on YouTube, and you can do that. And speaking of YouTube, if you like what you're seeing, make sure that you like and subscribe. You know, we're here for you and yours, and we're definitely going to keep you update and give you the most marvelous talk that we possibly can. But before we get started with this, we're definitely going to get started with this. What's up, you guys, man? Of course, like I said, we are here to discuss this season 6. Just it is the finale of Loki for all times, for always. Man, this was a powerful episode, episode 6 review. We're definitely going to get into it and begin to start talking now. Man, I think the first thing that hit me off that, man, we're getting a multiverse, like right off the rip, was you heard the music, you heard all of the sings, you heard a lot of the stuff from previous movies being put in. You heard of Guardians of the Galaxy, you heard my dude Star-Lord, you heard just Tony.
Wakanda forever!
Yeah, man, you heard Black Panther. You heard so many things from the previous chapters of the MCU movies. And definitely we're here, and it's like, man, okay, why are you bringing these things back up inside of us going to the end of time? And it was the first smell or whiff of the multiverse that we were going to get. And we start this episode off, we get, Loki tells, or Sylvie tells Loki, she's, basically having him come back, and we're here, and they're at the door. And while they're at the door, Sylvie just kind of takes the time and she pauses. Now, right here, Big G and Dane, is where I just knew, yeah, everything I said about Chick was true. She is definitely going to betray him. I don't know if she's working with the dude, but I know she's going to betray him. At this moment, I knew it. It was over with. It was over with for me because they took the time to just revisit the fact that Sylvie has been at this for a long time. And because she has been at this for a long time, wasn't nothing going to stop her. She was driven by purpose. And another thing that kind of hit me real fast was the fact that she kept talking about she was the one to balance the universe out because she brought chaos to this current timeline. So Dane, when you saw this, they're at the door and she's taking her time and Loki's sitting there looking at her like, ooh, what's going on? What was going on in your mind, man? What were you thinking at this moment?
I mean, it's a pivotal moment in the whole season with her because she's been in the dark. You got to realize that she was a kid when the TVA took her, and being at this point where you're going to finally get the answers in her mind, she didn't know how to process it. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as the trust stuff, I really hadn't got to that level yet. I just thought that she was in a place now where, man, I'm about to come face to face with the answers, and I really don't know how to process it. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to even prepare myself for it. That's why, Loki doing what Loki does. He's talking, and she even told him, "Yeah, man, you just shut up for a minute." When somebody's like giving you an overload of information, but you already processing internally, and you can't really kind of separate the two. That's what she was doing at that point to me. And so, but yeah, man, it was a pivotal moment for her as a character, for both of them, of course. But you got to realize how long she's been at this since she was a kid, and finally going to get the answers. So yeah, that's what I took from that scene.
Yeah, I think too, Dane, for sure that I think this was the evolution of Sylvie moving from that Loki montage that we've been told all along, and maybe moving into the Enchantress, because she knew that, like you said, this was the end, but it was actually the beginning. She was going to get all the answers, but at the same time, she knew, okay, what's next? Because I'm going to fulfill what I've been trying to fix all along, which is get revenge on everybody that took my life away from me. So now, what do I do moving forward? So she was like, okay, ready, set, go, game on. Whatever's behind here, I'm wiping out. But then also, what's the rest of me going to look like? Or do I fulfill, or for what all Loki say, do I fulfill my glorious purpose?
Wow. And you know what, G? Man, I'm going to tell you the truth. I never really even thought of it that way, bro. I think that's real, because it is a transition. It's a different, she's moving into a different character. See, one of the things I think we need to pay attention to is Marvel, and I keep saying this, Marvel takes creative liberty to kind of write in characters who are not really big in the MCU and who weren't really that big in the comic books, but they use those kind of things and spin them any way they want to. And I love that. I love that they're taking creative liberty and mentioning, characters into these series and the movies that kind of help push the movie and the series along, right? So here we go, man. The next thing that we see, they go into the door. They're about to kick the door in, but guess what? The door opens, right? That's always a bad sign. See, first and foremost, if you're at a place, Marvel, let's talk, Lynn. I need to speak to you, man to man, person to person. If you come to a door and that door automatically opens for you that was previously locked, that's not a door you should go in. I just want you to know that. Let's establish that. Don't go in that door. And if it shuts behind you, you're in trouble. You're just in trouble. You done really got yourself into a world of hurt. I'm sorry, but I told you here first. Now we gonna move forward. The next thing, they are met by Miss Minutes.
Man, that scared the mess out of me.
Miss Minutes just pops up from nowhere.
That scared the mess out of me, bro.
Who is Miss Minutes working for at this moment? I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's Miss Minutes. She here. First of all, the gold in the door had me, because guess what? I was seeing the gold from the new Immortus trailer from that ship. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that caught me and caught my eye. Marvel don't do nothing by shape and chance. So the ship looking like the doors, what does it mean? I don't know, but it was there, right? So that I saw it quick off the rip. Then Miss Minutes shows up, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, so she's been working for this person the whole time, right?
And didn't I tell y'all? I told y'all a few episodes ago. See, one thing y'all gonna find, Marvelous Talk peeps out there, is that we nailed a lot of stuff before we even saw a lot of stuff. But I said a few weeks ago that I did not trust Miss Minutes. I explicitly said it, that I did not trust her at all.
Yeah, definitely slippery when wet. I mean, for real, when it comes down to it, I didn't trust it. But Big G, what did you think when you saw Miss Minutes just pop out?
Well, the issue, what I really drew me was her monotone changed as she was talking to Loki and Sylvie. Right. Her, like, the way she talked it went from like, oh, I'm just this nice innocent thing to where she went straight sinister.
It's like a straight G.
Yeah, and she was like saying, well, we knew about this and we knew about that. And that, if you want to do this with us and do that with us, we can figure this out because we can offer you this alternative to be able to go back and beat Thanos. And we can offer you this where you guys can actually both exist in the same timeline. And we can give you peace. And it was almost like a sinister, devilish undertone that this character switched. So I was like, man, come on, Miss Minutes, man. That's an evil person, man.
And
There's something behind her.
I felt the same. I felt the same way, man, because it was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Miss Minutes, man, what is literally going on in your head? Because it's like, who's controlling you? So that was one of the things, because she just popped out of nowhere. So she obviously, Loki being when he was taking his classes and he was learning about the timelines and he was learning about all of these things, her walking out on the desk, that was a prequel to us seeing her away from a computer screen, not living inside of a computer, because previously we saw her inside of a computer, we saw her inside of like a TV screen, but we never saw her previous to Loki actually doing his learning and his test. We never saw her outside, and he asked her, what were you? Basically, she didn't answer. She just hopped back in the computer program, moved on, right? So we got an opportunity to see her apart from that, which I thought was dope. So, just like Big G mentioned, she was like, hey, we could give you the win over Thanos. We could give you guys what you want, and y'all can exist on the timeline together. Not separate, but together. And the fact that neither one of them went for it, I was like, okay, I was good with Loki not going for it. But Sylvie, I said, okay, she wasn't going for it. There's a difference. There's something else going on. So as they're going in and just as Loki says, oh, man, he might not even be here, somebody just pops up out of nowhere. And he pops up in the elevator sitting like Forrest Gump. It was funny to me. I was saying to myself, he's sitting there all innocent, like, all innocent and frail, looking like I wouldn't hurt a fly, just definitely looking kind of sheepish. That was the word I would use. Really looking sheepish.
I'll interject that, but right before that scene, if you recall, Miss Minutes goes back to Wristslayer and gives her. She says, I'm downloading the files right now, and these are the files that you need. These are the files that he wants you to have. And she's like, Wristslayer says, who is he? Yeah. So that lets us know immediately she had no idea who the man behind the strings was. So a lot of times we were thinking she knew. She didn't know. But it's interesting that Miss Minute says this is the information that he wants you to have. So I thought that was a key moment in the whole episode moving forward.
I knew it was a key moment.
And it was a setup too. It was a setup because what was she supposed to have? Because remember, Wristslayer and this character we're about to talk about, as far as the comic books is concerned, got big time relationship. Right. So was he, trying to do something to reset and all? But we'll get into that.
Yeah, definitely. So then speaking of which, let's just go ahead and explore this. We had Hunter B-15 came back, and because, first and foremost, you see Mobius pop through the door, right? Yeah. Mobius pops through the door, and, he's here, and basically he's saying, man, it's time for you to go ahead and tell everybody, that this is a farce, and we're all variants, and what are we doing this for? And she's like, man, we need to do this because what if we're serving a bigger purpose? And this is what we're supposed to do. So Mobius has a little stick, and it was a funny moment. A very funny moment. He had a little stick, and she was like, what you gonna do? He's basically like, yeah. And she basically told him, hey, man, I'm not scared of you in that stick. That little old stick don't scare me at all. You can have your little stick and try to wave it over here, but I'm going to handle you. And basically, he did it, and he got handled. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Big G.
Hey, did you know the Wristslayer, even though she had that conversation talking about she didn't really understand or know what was going on, but she knew more than what she put on with too, because she was already resetting, grabbing files, grabbing information, putting up together a briefcase, and had a plan and knew where she was going because she dumped down everything. And in the conversation, she was playing like both ways. You know, she was like, I'm playing stupid because I don't really know. But at the end of the conversation, she was like, I'm going to go get my freedom. You know, so she puts on a lot more than what she knows too, you know, as far as her whole backdrop story, who she was and all whatever else. But I think she's going to fuel the big bad more moving forward, more than what a lot of us really think or know.
Right. If you notice, Sean, I totally agree with you, but she started doing all that reassessing when Mobius came in. That was after she got that downloaded instructions from him.
Right.
So I think he gave her instructions on what she needed to do to prepare. And I know I don't want to get ahead of us, but I think ultimately she's going to connect with him.
Oh yeah, there's no
mano
doubt.
y mano.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, man.
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes down to it, you know, we saw this, and then Hunter B-15 was there, and when Hunter B-15 came in and was speaking to a TVA version of Ravonna, but she also was informing another one of the TVA agents, hey, this is what's going on, you know, and now he needs to be explained to. So what Mobius was doing at this point was erasing all of her help, forcing her to actually do the right thing. But when Mobius tried to, you know, take her with the stick, you know, she basically got handled, and she was like, I'm out, you know, deuces. And she was gone. That was the last time we saw her in the
shout out to Fremont, Ohio, and the Ohio State Buckeyes degree that was hanging up on her wall. OHIO for them Buckeye boys is back there in Fremont. You know, shout out to my people, man. Because yeah. Shout out.
Hook 'em horns in the meantime.
Two. I ain't trying to sidebar, but 2 shows in a row. We got a Black Widow in Ohio, and now we got the wristslayer from Fremont, Ohio. What's this thing about Ohio?
Marvelous talk. I may mess around and mute his mic, but you just gonna move forward.
That means stay away from them places because bad things happen.
Absolutely, weird things are happening in Ohio. It's backwoods in Ohio. But anyway, moving right along. So we get to this next scene where we're actually we get a chance to see the man behind the curtain, and definitely when we see the man behind the curtain, he's sitting here basically eating an apple, man. They got swords on him. He ain't even flinching. You know, he doing some nasty stuff, wiping his nose and putting his hands back on the apple. I mean, just, you know, he basically just out here tripping, you know. And my first impression of this character, who they introduced as Dane, what was his introduction as?
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains. They introduced Jonathan Majors, who we know who has been cast as Kang, right? We know Jonathan Majors has been cast as Kang, but they introduced him as He Who Remains, right? So we see this character here eating an apple just casually. Every time they try to hit him with a sword, he disappears, he reappears, he disappears, he reappears in this elevator scene. Now, what are you guys thinking in your mind when this elevator scene happens? Talk to me, Big G. What's going on in your mind?
Well, you know, by me being a comic book head, and when the name came up of He Who Remains, that let me know right off the bat that Marvel MCU has merged, once again taking the liberty to merge multiple people into multiple different characters. Because He Who Remains is a completely different person in the MCU. But it makes, I mean, in the Marvel comics, but it makes sense in the MCU to have have this character, Jonathan Majors, who, like Mod said, we know has been cast as Kang moving forward, to be that person, because what we're going to find out as it moves forward. But I have to say this. I've heard a lot of backlash and read a lot of stories where people was trying to give Jonathan Majors some type of flaw or flack of being a good character. Man, he played his behind off in that role, man.
Killed it.
I mean, from the first time he was on screen all the way until the episode ends, the man knocked it out of the park. Yep. So y'all, because this is a spoiler talk, don't buy into other people's stuff about what they talk about this character. He was, matter of fact, to be honest, because it's already been confirmed, his character is going to be the new big bad in the MCU. I'm telling you right now, if y'all thought Thanos was that thing, wait till you get a load of this guy.
Yeah,
because he's playing that role, man.
And I venture to say this. I venture to say what we saw in the Loki season 1, episode 6 finale is not going to be the same way he acts when he's actually Kang the Conqueror. Because this dude is an amazing actor, man. And like me and Amar were saying off camera, we've actually been talking about it throughout the day. And he even says it himself. This is the nicest version of this iteration of this character you're going to see. So I'm scared, like, dang, if this is the nice version, what is the evil version going to look like, man?
So what they just did, and dang, you're right, man, but you have to realize what they just did. With the monologue that he had when he sat down and he gave millions of years of character development at one sitting in probably like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. He told you about all of the different variations of him. He told you how he came to be with the scientist talk, where he realized we were universes sitting on top of universes. He gave you his name. He said, I've been known as a conqueror. I've been known as this. I've been known as that. So he basically tells you, hey, this is what this is. But he also tells you it gets dark. He also tells you that, I've lived millions of lives at millions of different times, and it gets dark. The darker versions of me were bent on conquest. He said it again, built on conquering, right? Said conquering twice. So with him being built on conquering, he's telling you, hey, man, this is Kang the Conqueror. And get this is Kang Prime, right, that we're talking to. Not only that, it's Nathaniel Richards, right?
Yeah.
So you got Nathaniel Richards, Kang Prime, and then we have another name, Immortus, we're seeing in this whole thing. So they wrap all of that up real quick, and they didn't have to I love the fact that they didn't have to draw that out. You know what I mean? They wrapped it up in one little thing. And as he began to tell his story, I know our resident comic book head had a whole bunch that he was thinking at this moment. So tell us what you were thinking when you saw this happen, Big G.
Listen, and like Ma said, in 3 minutes, they gave us his bio in 3 minutes. And unlike any character that's been introduced in the MCU before, they hit his bio out of the park. When I'm telling you how he showed, and he took the little thing he had on his wrist and he flicked it down on the table, and you saw him almost using like a Wakandan technology to be able to show how he was able to go through time and figure out, hey, I'm a scientist from the 31st century, and I figured this out because it's universal and on top of universe. And then he went from the fact of like Ma said, Immortus, Ramatut, the Scarlet Scorpion. I mean, every name, Kang Prime, every name you can think of, Victor Timely, everything you can think of him being Kang, he did it in 3 minutes. So it wasn't just the character being introduced to us, but the writers for this moment in time of that show, man, I don't think I've seen anything else ever outside of Tony Stark dying at the end of Avengers Endgame. I think this snippet in the MCU was probably the highest rating, how they set up something up of everything I've seen. And I'm a diehard MCUer, but they set this up perfect, man. Perfect.
And what'd you think about this, Dane? That whole scene about him introducing himself and telling who he was. What was your original thought about that?
It was ingenious. I mean, it was ingenious. They set, like G just said, they set us, and I saw a dude that did a review, and I was talking to my wife about it, And the guy said that from all of the different shows that they've done with, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, this show to him was a little upsetting the way it ended because they did it as almost a big bridge, which I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we are literally setting something up that gives us something to look forward to, not just with season 2, but with all of several of these movies that are coming. You got the Spider-Man, No Way Home. You got the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So seeing all of that, and we even saw that with WandaVision. They left with her, digging into what might have been her hearing something that was released with Kang. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's ingenious, man. The way they did this, they literally set us in motion for stuff that's going to come. That's going to be a direct result of that 3 minutes that G just said we saw in that episode.
Absolutely. And just to come back to that, because we'll talk about it more as we get to that end part, I do believe that's why Wanda could hear the boys.
Yep.
It's because it all broke. And when it all broke, see, you have to understand, this Loki, Big G gave you a secret earlier. You didn't hear it, but I'm going to rewind it tape real quick. When Loki left in New York, from that moment, we're getting a branch reality.
Right.
From that moment, we had a fracture in time. So it lines up literally with WandaVision and Wanda being able to hear her kids after that whole event happened, because the timelines are splitting. You're getting fractured reality. And it also pays off on the Boner joke. That pays off now because she was able to reach into another universe or another multiverse and pull him in, because she said it was something like Pietro. You know what I'm saying? So that means, and remember, now you got to start putting 2 and 2 together because you got some information.
And it identifies with something that G told us about Wanda, is the fact that she's a Nexus being.
Yep.
And can exist in 2 different planes of reality. So for her, that wasn't nothing to hear them boys.
Right. And then not only that, what I'm saying is with Pietro, we called him Pietro because it's fake Pietro. with that, you have, it's not hard for her now to reach into a different multiverse and bring him into this reality, right? Because the one from that timeline was off, right? Yep. So you see how these things are starting to fit and form together. And then let's get past the fact that everything that's happening on Earth, like with the Shang-Chi and Immortus, when you get all these things are happening on Earth, right? Loki ain't on Earth. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the movies that you'll see related to multiverse won't be set on Earth except No Way Home, right?
Right.
But all the others you're going to get from different timelines and different realities.
Yep.
But now, so when we're going on and we're progressing in this whole thing, now they're having this conversation with him, and he hits them with a proposition. He tells them, look here. I am tired. I'm TYED, tired. He ain't tired. He was like, I'm tired. I done lived multiple lives. You know what I'm saying? Forget the TI. He was TY.
Millions.
Basically,
millions of lives.
Yeah. And so he was like, look, at this point, I just want somebody else to do this. I want somebody else to put in the work. And I was looking for the right person, but I found the right 2. So it's the right person and 2 people. This is awesome. So you guys could go back to the TVA and tell them anything you want. You could be the Wizard of Oz. You can tell them anything you want, and you can go ahead and move forward with everything. And definitely I'll move out the way, or you could kill me. But if you do, understand, I'm coming back in a worse version. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do that, there's nothing and nobody to prune those extra branches that is coming off of the timeline, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing in place. Yeah. And we know that this is factual because of the scene that we get a little bit later when we see, hey, there's 68 branches in this one quadrant. You know what I'm saying? So the branches are starting to get endless at this point. And definitely at this point, we see the conflict start happening between Loki and Sylvie. Loki and Sylvie is out here having a Loki fight. You know, they getting it in and they fighting each other. And they're like, look, and what I told you guys about Sylvie was, you know, she was going to turn, and she did. Loki was like, well, wait a minute. I believe he was like, man, look, I lie. And I know what a liar sound like. And this dude ain't lying. You know what I'm saying? He basically saying he not lying. I believe him. And at this point, you start to see our version and the Loki that we've been riding with for such a long time coming true. You know, for his word. But, you know, we saw previously in episode 5, the other Lokis are just going to be them. You know what I mean? And they're all deceitful. So as you see them fighting, man, and you see Loki stands in front of her like, hey, man, look, stop, please. You don't stop. She's not doing that. What were you thinking about at this moment, Dave? What did you think was going to happen when you saw that?
Well, the interesting thing, to kind of just rewind just a little bit before the fight ensued, one thing that was amazing to me, and I love what Jonathan Majors just was like calling them on the carpet, man. You know, the whole grow up Sylvie, man, that sent chills down my spine. And I was like, wow. But he read both of their mail. I mean, instantly. He was like, you a hypocrite, you a murderer. You know, he was just reading their mail. So one thing that he said that was interesting about her, and Loki repeated it. He was like, you can't trust, and I can't be trusted. Those two lines right there just showed that automatically there was going to be an impasse between them two. You know, yeah, they have feelings for one another. I don't doubt that. But because of the baggage of her not being able to trust, coupled with the fact that this dude, you can't take him at his word for 3 seconds because you don't know what he's going to do, it just canceled it out. So I saw that coming. I just saw that coming, that she was just going to ultimately not be able to get with what he's saying, because she said, hey, we in a pickle because you believe in one way, I'm believing another, and it ain't going to work out. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got out of that.
Yeah, and it was, to me, it was one of those things where it just, I knew it was fixing to go bad. I did not see it coming when she grabbed the little temp pad around his wrist that he had took off. Yeah. Because he had told him at this point, I knew what was going to happen all the way up until this point. Mm-hmm. So once we crossed, he didn't know what was going to happen, and he was going to allow them to choose, right? But of course, the universe had to manifest chaos, and that chaos had to be Sylvie, right? Mm-hmm. And so Sylvie picks up the temp pad and sends Loki back through a door. When she sends Loki back through a door, at that moment, she flips the desk and like, hey, it's over with, you know, and she takes the sword and she puts it through Kang. And when she puts it through Him That Remains, Kang, Nathaniel Richards, at this point, he tells her,
see you soon.
See you soon. Mm-hmm. And that was the most cryptic thing that I ever heard in a Marvel movie, because it wasn't, I mean, he's dying and he's like, yeah, see you soon.
He's dying and laughing.
laughing. So hey, this scene right here, G, what was going on in your head, man, when you at this scene? What were you thinking?
150 with the comic books. That's why I said about this whole thing with Jonathan Majors and them depicting him or picking him to play the role of Kang. This Kang Prime that they showed, or Immortus, or whatever whatever which one of them it was perfect because it showed that this Kang was to the end of his road and he wanted to make something happen, either one way or the other, which is Kang in the comic books. Because at the point, Kang gets sick and listen, when y'all saw the scene where Dormammu got locked in with Doctor Strange back in Doctor Strange 1, and he kept rewinding the tape on him, and Dormammu was like, man, I got to cut a deal. Kang is on that level of like with Dormammu as far as a time controller and wanting to have it. So he was like, this particular version of Kang, like in the comics, was ready to give it up. Yep. So it was time for him to move on. So I was like, man, but like how the fellas done already said on the show, my man said, look here, I'll see you soon. And you don't really want the one that's, or the ones, or the multiple ones, or whatever that's coming, because you think I'm trying to control everything and run everything. Oh my God. The conquest or the conqueror Kang, y'all don't want no part of him.
No.
So, that was my take.
Yeah, man. We've been. I told us to Mark. We've been wondering what Sylvie's Nexus event was. We got it.
Yep.
We saw what her Nexus event is, and her silly behind is going to cause a lot of pain and disaster that we have not even begun to think what it's going to manifest, man. But really going back to what G said, man. Kang, he basically said, or he that remains, he said that ultimately, I'm the villain. Me, I'm my worst villain. I forget y'all. I'm my worst villain because I know what I'm capable of. I've seen, and that's like Amon said, man, that's a scary thing. You know what it reminded me of? This whole thing with him wanting to pass everything on to them. It kind of reminded me of an evil version of Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
So yeah, man.
And he acted quirky just like him. And that's what I said. You cannot. Jonathan Majors played his part, but I'm going to tell you guys, for real, Marvelous Talk Land. Listen, hear me and hear me well. You have now. Everybody was complaining. Oh my gosh, we haven't got no big bads that are just great. Oh, hey, you got one. Stop belly aching because you got the right one, baby. This one is ready. I mean, he's going to be around. I was just telling G and I was telling Dane. We are gonna live with Kang until the Fantastic Four. That's some years
or beyond.
Yeah. That's some years now. Yeah. Kang and the Fantastic Four go way back, and they have been the only one to get rid of Kang.
There's no simple solution to deal with a cat that has multiple iterations. It ain't, and in my mind, y'all, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Kang is actually gonna be in the Ant-Man movie. What the heck is Ant-Man gonna do with Kang?
It's the quantum mania.
What is Ant-Man? Dude, what is Ant-Man gonna do with Kang, bro?
Hold it. Let me tell you. This the backdrop. This the comic book backdrop, right? Kang's name is Nathan Richards. Nathan Richards is a descendant of Reed Richards, but Victor Von Doom too.
Yeah.
So Victor Von Doom is a key scientist. Hank Pym is a keen scientist. Nathan Richards is a keen scientist. So now you're going to have all these guys, and that the whole Quantum Mania, I think that Ant-Man story is going to blow up because you're going to really see the whole story. And remember, Janet Van Dyne, when she was in the thing and she came out, she was like, look, y'all don't even realize what I done seen or I know or how you get evolved and all whatever else when you in the quantum realm. Man, I'm telling you this, man, I couldn't be more satisfied that this Kang, the character, or Immortus, or whatever you want to call him, character is our new big bad. Because we can go where nobody's ever went before. That's crazy. My spin on it, man. This guy can do. He can be multiple villains on multiple planes at multiple times for multiple things. So we got the ultimate. We got the ultimate big bad, and I'm loving it, man.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad they didn't get into the maybe they might do it in the Ant-Man movie, but I'm glad they didn't get into the blue face thing, man. Just make him like a regular dude, which makes it to me even more sinister.
That he can't go there yet, right? Yeah. This was perfect for him as an introduction. Reason why this is perfect for him as an introduction is because, like I said, when he gave his monologue on who he was and how he existed and how he came in to be, you got a chance to see the base Kang Prime version of him saying, hey, after all of this chaos, I found out none of it was worth it. So we created this one timeline to keep everything in check. So he was quirky, he was goofy because he understood, hey man, I done been through it all. I done lived these lives. I done tried everything else. And this was the only way I knew to maintain peace and order in the universe, right? And so you can't get the rebellious part of him. Kang is the worst part of him. He is the worst part of him. So you couldn't jump and get the worst part of him, because then you got nothing to look forward to.
Right.
You have to let his character arc develop, right?
Right.
So that's why we had to get that version of him.
I agree.
I think that was perfect. I think it was right on time. And you're going to get a more sinister version of him in Ant-Man. And then here's another thought, Big G. I'm finna throw one at you. Ant-Man comes out next year.
Yeah.
Who's to say we won't have a Reed Richards in that movie?
Oh, there's no doubt. If I had to depict a movie where I was you're gonna see the first introduction of the 4 or members of the 4, that's it.
I would say this is what I predict. This is just me looking in my crystal ball for the future. But I would say that would be an awesome end credit scene to put a little hint of the Fantastic Four, because the full year, like you said, a full year later, they should have like a kind of a little glimpse of what the Fantastic Four casting should be. So something just hinting at the fact would be real dope.
Well, I'm saying it. This is my hot take. I'm stealing this from G. It's my hot take. I promise you. I just really feel like you're gonna see Reed in that movie. You're not gonna see anybody else. The reason why I feel like I'm gonna see Reed in that movie, I'm gonna tell you why. Because Hank Pym is brilliant.
Yeah,
he's brilliant, right? And he knows the quantum realm. And then his wife knows the quantum realm. But they're gonna need somebody else, because Ant-Man by himself ain't gonna be able to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna need somebody else. And who
descendant.
Who else can you bring into this thing? Because you can't bring Doctor Strange in. He's not gonna tie into that movie. Doctor Strange is already tied into one movie, and that movie he's tied in is Spider-Man: Far From Home. So he's tied into that one, right? We already got one that tied into that one. So you've got to bring somebody else, and you know they're good at bringing in new characters every time. They brought in so many new characters already.
So Maud, you don't think there's gonna be just an inkling of Kang mentioned in Doctor Strange? Just a little, like a little sliver of it?
There'll be a sliver to me, but go ahead, Maud.
I absolutely think that you're gonna see Kang pop up. He's not gonna be the big bad, but you're gonna see him pop up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're on this ride with Jonathan Majors now for at least 4 years, 3 to 4 years. We on this ride, because there's so many ways that Kang the Conqueror was. Man, listen, like I said, let's go back to the fact that we ain't seen a big bad yet. This is our big bad. This guy is up there with Galactus to me. Because just like Big G, how can you kill somebody who can exist in so many different timelines and be so many different people? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'm a one-up Mod on a hot take. I'm telling you that you're going to see Kang, iteration of Kang in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man. But I'm telling you right now, by the time we get to Ant-Man and Quantumania, not only are you going to see Reed Richards, you're going to see Victor Von Doom. Mark my words, put it on your calendar. We'll rewind the tape from 7/14/2021. By the time we get to because I'm telling you something, I'd have picked up on something about Feige. He's fast and he's speeding everything up. He's fast forwarding everything. Because why else? He dropped the big bad on a TV show. Right. Not a movie. Where not like the little Easter egg where you got Thanos turning towards his head towards the thing and smiling. Mm-hmm. No, that was in a movie.
Right.
He dropped Kang in a TV show.
Yeah. One thing that I just want to say about that really I was, man, and I wish more people thought like this, but of course I know it takes budgets and things like that. But one thing I just saw in a recent interview with Kevin Feige, because they asked him about it, G and Ahmad, they asked him about the TV shows and the movies, and he said, from my vantage point, the way I see it, I don't see them any different.
Right.
He said the same energy that we put into making the movies, we put that same energy and thought into the TV shows. So that for me as a fan, and I know for all other fans, that made you really appreciate it because they're not taking no shortcuts with the stuff that they introduce in the TV shows.
Right.
And they can't, Dane, because see, gone are the days where you can just throw out a TV show. Kevin Feige wasn't in charge when they were just throwing out TV shows to, you know, now Feige's in charge, right? So gone are those days where we just throwing TV shows out there random, you know, and you know, they don't have any tie-in to the MCU. Everything will have tie-ins to the MCU. Now we're finna tie this up, and then we got some things that we need to discuss. So Loki comes back, he takes off running, he's moving people around. He finds Mobius, he finds Hunter B-15, and when he finds him, he's like, hey. And Mobius turns around, looks at him, and he's like, so who are you? You're an accountant? You know,
analyst.
You're an analyst? He was like, who are you? You know, and they're both looking at him, and he's looking at them like, y'all know who I am? Like, what's going on? And then he turns up, and when he turns and looks, look at what he sees. Oh my
God. He who remains.
So you see this whole thing that you saw here in the same outfit.
Yep.
That's the exact same outfit. So we're seeing the same person in different variant form, right? Different variant forms. So, and then of course you get the credits, and then you find out that there will be a Loki season 2. If you didn't know that, sorry, it's going to be a Loki season 2. We know that's part of it. But listen, so here's where I believe the groundwork has been laid. You see, before Jonathan Major's character dies, you see the timeline branching. You see Mobius talking about the timeline branching. So we know that the timeline is fractured. It has broken. And at that point, you know, we can think of what the Ancient One says. When all these things happen and there's no stones guarding these timelines, now you got all of these people able to run, and there's nothing to protect those timelines. When you have one timeline and everything's being protected, and if you think about it, the stones, this is not a reach, but it's a real thing. The stones being present at the TVA told me one thing. When I saw the stones revolving around that timeline, the stones were, to me, a representative of the TVA. It was just a representative of the TVA. The stones were the TVA on Earth in this dispensation. That's what they were. They were the protectors, right? Yeah. That's why you had Doctor Strange wielding a stone, because he was a protector. Mm-hmm. That's why when you got all of them together, they were able to do whatever they wanted because they were the protector. They were over the actual timeline that was flowing through it. So nothing could go above it. Nothing could go below it. That's how he was able to mechanize or weaponize Alliance, right? You think about this. He was able to do that with science. So G has always been telling you, hey, man, pay attention. They talking about science on one side, and then they call it science magic. Right? So, you know, definitely this is that thing you got to pay attention to. So now, here it is. We got What If coming. What If ain't what you guys think it is. What if, now this is me. I thought they were just throwing us a bone with What If. Like, here you go. But now I'm thinking, hey, this What If thing is going to show, because I remember a shot where you see Doctor Strange walking in, and then you got all of these symbols around him, just all these symbols, and all of a sudden he's falling like Alice down the rabbit hole, right? And when he comes up, guess who he sees? He sees Sharon Carter in the Captain America uniform, right? Yep. So at this point, now we're seeing him see the multiverse play out. Mm-hmm. So I think you're fixing to get some explanation, not just, well, what if this person was this person? No, we're going to get some explanation of how certain things happen. And remember, they've already set the precedent. If you change one little thing, everything changes.
When in the latest trailer for What If, Notice what the Watcher says. He says, "Travel with me on a tale of the multiverse."
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
he does.
They already telling you that we're in this whole iteration and time of the multiverse in the MCU. And what if it's just gonna, like, I agree with you totally. What if it's gonna be our school primer? Why do you think it's animated? It's our school primer of what the multiverse is gonna look like.
Mm-hmm. And how things can actually transpire in the multiverse. Big G, what's your take on that?
Oh, I'm feeling it, because the What If comic line was huge. You know, it gave you the, for people that don't know, when the What If comic line hit in the early 70s, that was like Marvel's throwaway to give people opportunities to vent about what they didn't like about certain characters, right? But what the folks who are comic book heads like me know is what they were doing is giving us the precursor of what the multiverse actually would look like, which later on, 25, 30, 35 years later, Secret Wars. That's what's coming, y'all. Believe me when I'm telling you, that's what's coming. It gave us a big bad, another spinoff character, the Beyonder. So, I mean, this is all stuff that What If set up in the 70s that led to this comic run in the 90s. So, and now here I am in 2021, and I'm sitting back and looking, and I'm like, oh, man. So from an animated standpoint, because remember, the Watchers have already been introduced. They was in Guardians 2, right? Stan Lee was sitting with them. Yeah. But now we're going to get the whole setup of really what these people are. And I say this, and I told Maud and Dame off camera I was going to say this. Kevin Feige, you are a genius, because you figured out not only how to explore multiple different variations of characters throughout the MCU, but you backdoored a way that you can bring anybody in at any time from any universe and don't have to do a full explanation of how that character moved from one place to another. Genius, man. And he reset it to where if the characters who are like Robert Downey Jr. don't want to do Iron Man no more, guess what?
He can bring us
another Iron Man.
Hey, and let's think about this. We've been hearing these rumors about getting our Wolverine back. This is how.
Yeah.
This is how we getting our characters back, man. We're able to pull them from different places and put them all together. And then get this. This is another way, you know, R.I.P. Chadwick. It's another way to get a new Black Panther too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's another way for us to for them to make this whole thing work. You gotta spin it in a way that nothing is impossible, right?
Right.
So just like Dame said, we're actually gonna get schooled on what the multiverse is and how it works and how things can just happen with What If. Now I'm excited about it. Then, like Big G said, you heard it here first. Big G's hot take. I believe he's right on this one. You're gonna get Secret Wars. We don't have any Avengers or team up movies being talked about.
Not at all.
Because it ain't no team. Secret Wars, we're bringing people from everywhere. There are people coming. We're fighting evil. It's a good versus evil battle. And we know that we're going to get a war because Immortus, He Who Remains, Kang, said, hey, there's a war. There's going to be a war this fall for this timeline to get back right. It's just not going to get back right on its own. So we know we're going to get a war. So you got to have something, and that's what we're going to get. That's it. That's the thing. You heard it here on Marvelous Talk First. Man, hey, listen, parting shots. What you got for me, Dane? Parting shots tonight.
Hey, man, like I said, moving forward, we got a lot to look forward to. I mean, you got, of course, What If. You've got, Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. You've got the Eternals. And then ending the year out, we got, Spider-Man Far From Home. No Way Home. So I'm in for the ride, man. I just know one thing: Kang is here, and we're gonna see him pop up. Maybe when we were not expecting. You know what I'm saying? But we're in an awesome place in the MCU, and I would just encourage y'all to keep riding with us because we're gonna keep you up to date on all the stuff that's coming out. You'll definitely be hearing reviews on What If. That's coming in just a few weeks, man. Just a few more weeks. We don't have to wait as long as we did from Falcon and Winter Soldier to Loki, from WandaVision to Falcon and Winter Soldier. So it's gonna be on and popping, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great time to be a Marvel fan.
Great time. And Big G, your parting shots, man.
This is all I got to say. It's all I can do. We are in it, and they not only get the always thumbs up, they get the double thumbs up shot. Man, come on with it. Let's get this Marvel thing. And a mod, we got to get a tent, man. We got to get a tent and get ready to camp out because it's on and popping, man.
Man, listen, it's no turning back. They committed to it, and it's no turning back. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think for anybody who doesn't see this episode 6 as a beginning and not an end, you're seeing it wrong. Dame said it's a bridge. It is a bridge, but it's a beginning. It opens up everything. Once you walk across this bridge, there's endless possibilities. Like you can't put anything in a box anymore. Where you can't be in a box. We're not in the last move of Marvel, so you can't be in this box anymore because we're telling so many different stories, and they're gonna happen fast. And I'm super excited. We're gonna get so many different characters. You guys, thank you for hanging out with us, man. Definitely, we love being here with you guys, man. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Definitely, you saw us tonight for the first time on our Marvelous Facebook page, Marvelous Talk Facebook page, and you caught us on Twitch, man. Make sure you rock with us, and definitely till next week, man. We got some things to talk about. We'll be here next week, and we'll definitely be speaking. I would not be surprised if you catch a Spider-Man trailer within the next. I would not be surprised.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there's whispers about it. There's whispers about it.
At this point, you can't hide. What you got to hide now?
Right.
At this point, you got nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. But hey, thanks for rocking with us. We'll see you back here next time, next night. We out.